Oh. What's up, everybody? I am back. It has been a good 3 months since I've made a YouTube video, but I'm back. I'm gonna be consistent with this time. I promise. Every Sunday I'm coming out with a video. Mark my word, call me out on it, I'm doing it. Yeah, so like I said, 3 months since I made a video. What have I been doing? Well, Corona hit right when I ended my bulk, so if you were following me, I was doing a bulk. After football season, I got up from 212, 213, all the way up to 234. So I put on a good 20 pounds over like a 25-week period of time. Was gonna give myself 2 weeks of just maintenance, and then I was gonna hit a full-on cut for about 8 to 12 weeks. And Corona happened, so didn't get to start the cut. Didn't want to try to cut at home on just home body workouts, so I did just a maintenance phase with these home workouts, just trying to maintain my weight, maintain muscle, and it worked all right. I was 234, like I said, probably to 230, 228 toward the end. So as soon as the gym started opening back up, I gave myself that 2 week grace period where I just try to get some muscle back on, get my body accustomed to lifting heavy weights again, and then I hit the cut. So that was about 8 weeks ago. Today is the end of 8 weeks, and I'm planning on going for another 4 weeks. So welcome to my 4-week mini shred series. Yeah, I'm gonna be trying to document as much as I can over the next 4 weeks. But yeah, 8 weeks ago I started my cut. I was at 228. Now I'm sitting about 217. So I was losing, just about a pound a week, and I'm feeling pretty lean, but I'm not to where I want to be. So I got another 4 weeks to go. About 217, like I said, 218 right now, and I'm hoping to get down to 213 to 215 and be about 8% or lower body fat. My guess, I'd probably be around 9 or 10 right now, depending on just the day and my intake of food and water. But yeah, so that's what the last 8 weeks have been. I also got a new puppy. This is Denver. Yeah, he's super chill. Remy's still around here. But yeah, so that's my last 8 weeks. Today's video, first part of the 4-week mini shred series. I'm gonna give you guys my 5 tips to get lean, lose weight effectively, and to build muscle depending on where you're at. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop right into that. Tip number 1 here, you gotta have a plan. And that's my biggest thing, man. You gotta have a plan. You gotta have something that's gonna hold you accountable and gonna keep you consistent. So first thing I did, I went out and bought a notebook, 89 cents, and I wrote my workouts for the week. I would write the exercises, the sets, the reps, and the weight I did for those sets. And then, looking back, once I get to that next week, I'm looking back at those numbers, looking, okay, how many sets did I do with this weight? So if I bench 225, I'm either this week going to try to do 230, 235 by the same amount of reps, or I'm gonna try to do 225 by more reps, or even going slower, having more time under tension, increasing the intensity of the lift, really trying to help myself maintain consistent progressive overload, because that's what I want. If I'm trying to build muscle, build strength, progressive overload is going to be a key factor in that. So that's the same thing with a diet. You got to have a plan. You want to gain weight, lose weight, you want to maintain your weight, perfectly fine. You got to have a plan for how you're going to do that and how long. I mean, if you're just going to go into it winging, and it's the same thing for if you're going to the gym and just not having your exercises already made out. You're just going to kind of go, okay, well, lat pull downs are open, I'm going to go do that. Oh, I guess I'll do dumbbell curls right now. You can still see gains. Like, you're still gonna build muscle. Like, you're in the gym, you're doing the workouts. But if you had a structured plan, you're gonna see so much faster progression and a lot more quality muscle and strength put on with a well-structured plan. And it's the same thing with diet. You gotta have a plan, and you gotta have a little bit of structure to it at least. I mean, if I want to lose weight, I gotta understand, okay, I want to be in a deficit. I gotta decide for how long, so I can decide how aggressive I want to be, whether I'm super aggressive, going in a pretty big to moderate deficit, or if I'm gonna play the slow game and I'm gonna go over a 12-15 week of time and just slowly shave off weight and body fat, or if I want to try to hit it as hard as I can, lose 10 pounds in like 4 to 6 weeks. That's totally your call. But you gotta have a plan to go about doing that. So I recommend getting MyFitnessPal for your diet, and I recommend getting notebook, something to help plan your workouts, and I think you're gonna see higher quality results than if you were just to wing it. Tip number 2 here is you wanna be in a caloric deficit. Eating less calories than you are burning. I have a graphic I'm gonna put up here that's gonna have me voiced over and talking more in detail. So take it over, Brenner. All right, I appreciate that, dude. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive in here. Looking at calculating calories. We're gonna focus here on this bottom right section to give you guys a good representation of what it looks like as far as the calories in, calories out principle. So looking at this bottom right graph, we see that the calories out, meaning energy that we are burning through exercise, daily activity, etc., is outweighing the calories in, meaning food that we are eating, drinks that we are consuming, the calories we receive from those. That is getting outweighed by what we are doing physically to burn that. So this is where we're going to want to live if we are trying to be leaner. And once we achieve that caloric deficit over a longer period of time, we will begin to see the changes on the scale. When we look in the mirror, our body will look a little different, and we should be hopefully heading in the right direction. So caloric deficit, again, it's going to play a huge role, and there's so many different ways you can go about it. But first things first, we want to get lean. We want to lose body fat. Caloric deficit is where we are going to want to live. Perfect. Thank you. Exactly. So caloric deficit is going to be a huge factor here. I highly recommend downloading MyFitnessPal. I just talked about it, but again, downloading MyFitnessPal, even if you just do it for a week or two, log your food, see what you're eating, because a lot of people think they should be losing weight. I'm eating healthy, but then they put it in and then, they're 300, 400, 500 calories way over what they should be. So check that out. At least try it for a week or two. I do it consistently almost every day. You don't have to be that into it. What? You don't have to be that into it, but it's going to help you, and it's going to give you some insight onto really what your diet is consisting of and maybe where you can make some improvements. And so again, check that out. On to tip number 3. All right, look, hey, can you tell in tip number 3? Oh. Tip number 3, protein. Protein. Are you getting enough of it? I recommend getting at least a gram of protein per pound of body weight. So I weigh 217 right now, so I'm hitting at least 217. Personally, I'm going over. I'm hitting in that 225 to 250 range, but hitting at least that 1 gram per pound of body weight. And I know that sounds like a lot. A lot of people aren't eating that much protein, but if you do, you get up to that level, it's going to really help you out with recovery. Protein is crucial. And the reason that is, protein contains amino acid, which is essentially the building block for muscle. So protein is going to be huge for recovery. You're in the gym, you're breaking down your muscles. It's going to help replenish those muscles, help them recover faster so you can get back in the gym sooner and grow those muscles and build your strength and do all of that. It's also going to help you maintain your satiety. It's going to help you feel more full. It's a little bit more expensive for the body to break down, so it takes a little bit longer. You're going to feel more full. It's going to help you out there as well. But again, we want to make sure that we're eating enough protein. So that's tip number 3. There's a ton of different sources of protein that are awesome. It's not just protein shake. I'll talk about that later in another video probably. But protein, tip number 3, huge. Make sure you're tracking it on MyFitnessPal. Get a good idea of where you're at as far as protein numbers. But again, 1 gram per pound of body weight. Tip number 4 here, being carb conscious. What does that mean? We want to be mindful of our carbohydrate intake and understanding when we're doing it, why we're doing it, and how we're going to go about doing it. So, carbs get such a bad reputation in our society. It feels like everyone's afraid of carbs, and I don't want you guys to be afraid of carbs. But we can be smart in how we approach utilizing our carbs because our bodies do need it, especially if we're going to be lifting pretty intensely and really trying to grow and gain muscle, build muscle. Our body needs carbs. We need it for energy, pre and post workout. It's going to be huge for replenishing along with protein. but it's gonna give your body that energy it needs to get through your workouts and through the rest of the day. So here's the thing, with carbohydrates, we wanna make sure that we're giving ourselves enough of it so that we have energy and can replenish and recover, but we wanna be smart about it with our deficit in our diet. So I tend to use and lean to carb cycling. And again, carbs, it may not be for everybody. Everybody's gonna have different reactions. It's all based off of insulin and how it transports and how your body handles it. I'm not gonna get into it. It's something that I could talk about another time maybe, but it's gonna take a while. But carb cycling, essentially what that is taking your high, moderate, and low intensity days. So high day might be, you know, I'm hitting legs super hard. Moderate, maybe I'm just doing a pull day, I'm doing back and buys. And then a low day is, you know, I'm maybe doing some stretching and some core, something lighter. How carb cycling works, on those high days, those high intensity days, we're gonna have our high carb days. We're gonna have more carbs than usual. We're gonna bump it up a little bit. For those moderate days, we're gonna eat about a moderate amount of carbs. So let's just use the example. So my high carb day might be 300 grams, right? And then my moderate carb day might be 250. And then for those low intensity days, I'm gonna have maybe around 200. And again, this just completely depends on your body and your diet, how many calories you're going for and how you're breaking everything down. But carb cycling is gonna be huge. You know, if we're not training that hard, we don't need that many carbohydrates for energy, recovery, replenishing anything. It's just gonna help us maintain our deficit. We're not gonna be burning as many calories. So having that lower carb day on a lower intensity day is not gonna affect you as much. But on a higher carb day, or a higher intensity day, we're gonna wanna make sure that we have enough energy, enough carbohydrates to help us recover. So yeah, carb cycling could be super helpful. If you think it's gonna be helpful for you, give it a try. The biggest thing here that carb cycling is gonna do, it's gonna give us energy, it's gonna help us replenish, but it's also gonna help us keep our schedule with our deficit and losing weight. Because if you're eating the same amount of carbs, but you're not exercising, you're just not being as efficient as you could be. That's tip number 4. Let's go to tip number 5 and wrap this up. Tip number 5 here, progressive overload. We wanna make sure that we're incorporating this in our training. It's gonna really help us get lean and build that muscle. So what is it? What is progressive overload? Essentially what it is just increasing the demand on your body, on your muscles, on those muscle fibers to have them adapt and grow and build strength. It's essentially what that principle entails. So how do we go about doing that? There's a few different ways. So with progressive overload, that can be increasing the amount of weight you use from week to week. It could be increasing the amount of reps you do or sets that you do from the previous week. 2 examples with those. So say I bench pressed 225 last week, then I'm gonna try to increase that by an increment of maybe 5 to 10 pounds and see if I can do 230, 235 by the same amount of reps. So that would be an example for increasing the weight. For increasing sets or reps, say I did 225 on bench last week, I'm gonna do that, I did that by 8. This week I'm gonna try to do it by 10. Or maybe I'll do 4 sets instead of 3 by 8. So a few different ways that you can kind of think about it like that. Another way would be time under tension. What is time under tension? It's essentially the motion of the rep, and that increases the intensity. So if I'm taking my bench off and I'm just repping it out, if I were to slow that down with the same amount of weight, it's gonna increase the tension, and it's gonna be another one of those factors to help the muscles grow. So those are the 3 that I mainly focus on for progressive overload, but that can go the same thing with cardio. So if we did 5 rounds of jump rope, you know, this week we want to do 6 to 7 and then 8 to 9, and just kind of trying to progress and forcing your body to adapt and build and really just become more effective. So progressive overload, yeah, those are my 5 tips for you guys. I'm excited about this mini 4-week shred. I think it's gonna jump me into the consistency of posting every Sunday. I also need you guys to hold me accountable. Comment, give me different things to do, things that you wanna see. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer them. And also stay tuned for the next 2 to 3 weeks. There's gonna be something I've been working on that I'm really excited about that I'll be launching soon, if that gives you any hint. But yeah, if you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Share it with your friends, family, whoever else you think might need this. Talk about it. If you have any questions, like I said, hit me up. Till next time, I'll see you guys next Sunday. See ya.